When you start to like sit back and say, what is the point of religion, right? Because religion's supposed to get you out of religion, right? But when you sit in a religion, you're actually sitting in a point that you see opposite to somebody else. So for example, you've got different religions, and I've seen Christians basically war with Islams or against Buddhists or Hindus and whatnot. So religion should get you out of religion, yet this type of religion creates this illusion of separation. Because the point of religion basically would be to find God, right? But the way they tell you to find God is outside. This is the realm of lights. And in actuality, when you look at nature, nature works with each other. Everything in nature is working in harmony with each other. You can have one tree that needs nutrients, and you'll have another tree that could be miles away and it'll send nutrients to that tree just based on a mycelium network that you got underneath the soil. And as above, so below. See, I can't help but to notice I don't see this reality anymore the way that a normal person would see it. I don't even see the way somebody associates with like races and colors and whatnot, because it's all symbology. That's why I say as above, so below when I'm talking about this root system and whatnot. As above, you'll notice that we have this frequency, like, you know how people would say your vibe attracts your tribe. There's a certain frequency you emit from the, especially from the heart space, because the heart space is actually the projector of this reality that you're experiencing it. And the brain is actually decoding all this for you, but you don't have this heart-brain coherence, so you're really not aware of what you're actually creating in your reality, because you don't have that awareness. That's why Christ points to the heart. And this is what I encourage people to do, is just to realize that when you look at religion, it's a patriarchal system for that reason. So when you look at how history, right, and the way history is told to you, there's two different ways to look at history. You could look at it where we were Vikings and warring with each other and whatnot, or we were just all working in communities, trading with one another things that we needed. Man usually likes to war and take over, resources that they may not have had. So they'll just war and take over rather than seeing what they can trade. So it's two ways to look at everything, because we're in a dual system, right? And religion basically was like an invasion of your mind, right? And that's why it's a patriarchal order. Man invaded your mind. And the thing is that everything you're told, you're creating it for them. All right. And the them is your ego. Your ego can create pretty much anything, and it could, right? It could be a creative force. Your ego could be creative, right? But it can't create anything new, because the ego is just a shadow of what the real actually is. So it's nothing but a shadow, and that's why we say creation's already created. You can't really create anything new, right? When you are in a different state of being, you'll notice that you can generate your own thoughts. You can create your own reality, right? Off the blueprints that's already created, off the realm that's why we call it the illusion of Maya, because this is a shadow, right? And you're experiencing your shadow. This is why the people you attract, especially like your immediate partner, like your wife or girlfriend or whatnot, that would be your immediate shadow. Why? Because she's the opposite sex. That's the physical manifestation of what you're attracting in the polar opposite state of what you are as a energy signature, whether it be masculine or feminine. But it's still God, but we separate it in the bubbles of bad and good, right? So when you look at it, man and woman, they create a relationship and they work with each other. It's how it basically should be as far as everything else in nature, including the people you interact with, societies and whatnot, countries. You may have one country warring with another one. In actuality, if they learn to work with each other, this planet would be completely different, but it's under a certain distorted masculine energy. Okay. This is why there's this illusion of competition between man, because you don't know yourself. And if man knew themselves, they would not have this illusion of competition. you would basically help your partner, like the way they tell you in the Bible, treat your partner as you would yourself. Because the reason you want something from somebody else is because you're in the position of lack. You're in the position of the illusion of lack. That, when you come in here, this is the kingdom of heaven. You just don't realize you're in the kingdom of heaven. But this is the kingdom of heaven. Everything is here, and everything is yours, and everything is everybody else's. And it's for you to trade and, give benefit to somebody else, because you doing that, you're actually doing it for yourself. So then when they say that this planet is for you to learn lessons, the lessons is love. Love is not what they're telling you what love is in movies. Love is just a frequency that holds everything together. Like if I love what I'm doing so much, if I'm a gardener and I love my garden and I love what I'm doing so much, I'm giving out a loving frequency. My plants respond to that frequency and they become green and they thrive. Why? Because I am the one influencing my environment. So we are part of the animal kingdom, but you'll notice that animals have to blend into their environment for survival purposes. We are the dominion. We have dominion here. We have the order and structure, so everything molds and shapes to us. Everything is blending and shaping to us. When you become aware and you want your reality to look a certain way, it will start to mold and shape to you, just like the opposite of what the chameleon or the animals in the wild are trying to mold and blend to the environment. The environment starts to mold and blend to you now. It only appears that you may be a victim in your reality, but it's molding and shaping to you as the victim of that reality. So if you have a mindset that everything is against you, then everything will be against you. Everything that you probably perceive in your reality that you think is bad is because you placed it there to begin with. If you change the way you see things, change the way you see yourself first, everything starts to look totally different. Everything will change. I've already observed this just even in my own immediate life, and it's basically like this. You either walk the dog or the dog's walking you. So your body is an animal. And when you start to take order and structure of your body, you are in masculine energy and everything will respond to you accordingly. So your body basically will start, if you're a habitual creature, right? You're going to start to want to crave, go into old bad habits and start to, and then you become aware and you're like, no, I'm going to change that and I'm going to do it. But the moment you cave in, after you said you were going to change it, your cells are sentient, because that's what your body's made of, cells. They even have organelles, like you have organs. So you're basically a community of little people, and you think you're one individual, but you're trillions of people in formation, right? But the only reason you are in formation is because you're proteins. Proteins have shape, they change forms and structure. You change your body too by the way you see yourself too. Supposing you go to the gym and you want to change the way you look, you can absolutely do that, but you put in the work and you become conducive to the way you want to look. And that shows also a level of responsibility you have towards yourself. Because if you're just big and sloppy looking and whatnot, and not to say that that's bad, because I've seen some really overweight fat people that can actually do moonsaults and backflips and shit, and then you see like these, athletic looking people and they can't even move their own body weight. So it's not even about that. But what I'm trying to say is just overall, let's say the fat person doing the moonsaults, that's a responsibility toward themselves. They can actually move their own body weight and they have soul, right? Because they are experiencing in their body moving in ways that other people cannot, because they basically define the laws of what others would say is the bounds and limits of nature. So they're surpassing that. But it's just perspective. It's not to say that one way is healthier and the other way is not, because it's all a mindset anyway, but in a nutshell, what I wanted to say in this video is basically religion's supposed to get you out of religion, but being in a religion, it's like it's getting you into the inversion of what religion is. Religion's supposed to be, if you're religious, you're into all religions and you understand that all religions are saying the same thing. All right, it's more or less to say that, when you look at if you're into all religions, you'll notice that you see the connection between everything else. And when you're in one religion and you war against another religion, you're basically doing the opposite of what the religion's telling you to do, is oppose Satan. But meanwhile, you're being a Satanist the moment you become against another religion, because you're in one religion. Because Satan means adversary, opposer. So you are basically being sane. So you're pointing the finger at something that you're actually doing. It's very inverted. Everything's backwards, but you have to see that you're living backwards. And when you live backwards, the word live is evil. That's why even when they tell you man created in the image of God, it's God created in the image of man. So that image that you're shown in all religions is an image of you being man. Now you are not even man, right? This is just an energy that you're expressing in this physical realm. So if you're a man, you're the physical manifestation of God in positive form. And if you're a woman, you're a physical manifestation of the woman, of the feminine energy, the negative polarity in physical form. And when you look at the Hermetic principles, you'll see that all of these things correlate to the reality that you live. The mind is all, the universe is mental. The law of gender, the law of polarity, the law of correspondence, the law of rhythm, the law of vibration. You know what I'm saying? All those things correlate. I'm going to make a separate video on that so you see that it correlates even with your chakra systems. But it's all chemistry. So when you start to realize that you are not man and you forgot that you're God, you'll realize that you fell in love with the technology of what you are and you think you're a man. But then now man created technology in the image of man. This is why you see all these robots look human-like. Right? You'll even observe this even on TV when you see these politicians and whatnot, and you see that these little conspiracy theory videos, you see that they're wearing some like masks and shit. You may be looking at AI robots when you think you're looking at like Joe Biden or Trump and whatnot. Because what is true technology is to make it look as real and lifelike as it can be, right? But don't forget, these are man-made creations. You can create things that they cannot, because they are the manifestation of your ego. And that's why I told you, like, your realm, the ego, whatever it may be, is just a shadow. So it can't create, it can only replicate. So it's replicating the technology of what you are. And then you forgot that you are the ultimate piece of technology, that you'll look at their technology and become amazed and woed by it, because you forgot that you are the one that created even them. The ones that created that technology that has you all in whoa, you know, you created them. You forgot you created yourself. You created your parents to experience yourself in this portal, in this reality rather. You created them. They're your portals. But the man and woman are split, but they're really one. When they were together, they became one, right? They became one. Man and woman, the manifestation of the positive and the feminine, all right? They became one. They integrated. They became a chemistry. And then that's how that now became a portal for you to come out of the womb of your mom. But your mom and dad are technically God. That's why they say honor your father and your mother. They are God, whether they were degenerate parents or not. They are God, because when even growing up, you'll see that when you were a child, you grew up depending on them. They loved you unconditionally. They took care of you. They pretty much did everything for you, and you were guided by them, right? By your parents, mainly guided by your dad, nurtured by your mom, but your mom was guided by her husband, by your dad, the father, the light of the world. You are the child. You are the son of man. And when I say man, I mean your mom and dad. Because a woman is a kind of man. You're not a man until you become an adult, right? So when you're a child, you're guided by the physical manifestation of God, which are your parents, mankind, a man and a woman, positive and negative. It's all part of mankind because they're both people. A man and a woman are both persons, right? So they are equal, right? And as far as value here in society, where they say that it has more value than the other, it's because you're only looking at it from one perspective, the physical realm. You haven't looked at it from the metaphysical realm, because a woman came from man, right? But she's the physical manifestation of the negative polarity of that man. So yes, she came from man, but man overall that you look at here as the positive form still came from feminine energy, because it came from nothing. It came from darkness. And that nothing has the ability to be everything, including the positive masculine form. So there is no genders beyond what you think humanity is, right? So when you say man was the first being here. Okay, well, the first being here, but but you think this is a place. This is not a place. It's a mental construct. And in order for the mental construct to exist, man and woman are both still light beings. They're still of the light because you can physically see them. That's why when you see a black person, whether they're a man or a woman, they're still the physical manifestation of negative energy, the feminine energy, because they're black in color. And black is not even the real color that they are. They're just a different hue. So when you look at color spectrums, right, you see that red is a hot color, blue is a cold color, is a cool color. But this is what you would look at as alkaline. The red, what you see is acid. That's masculine, right? But they're still part of the same spectrum of light, just in a different polar end. So there's no duality, it's just polarity. But one is the physical manifestation of feminine, alkaline, positive, and that's acid, right? So you see what I'm talking about? And then in your body, you still have that same split. If you're a physical manifestation of man, you have more testosterone than estrogen. A woman has more estrogen than testosterone. Now, one is more beneficial and more useful here in this physical realm as far as you thinking how you built society. But you forgot that you didn't use the physical forces of what a man is to design this polarity. But since mankind took over the positive, that's why we're in a patriarchal system. You design religion, you put woman as the, let's say, the under the man, right? Then that's what you forgot you're actually got, because it's all supposed to actually be one. And it's all really about the feminine energy for that reason. Because if you think about it, if you look at a woman's body, all her body parts are functioning, right? Including her nipples. She can give milk from there, give life, nutrients and sustenance to a baby. What is a man's nipples designed for? Man does, what are the nipples for? There's no use to your nipples. You know what I'm saying? When you look at everything else in the body of the man, right? There's physical strength, but there's body parts that are really not useful. For a woman, every single part of her body is useful. So that's why, you know, when it comes to religion, history, you're only told these things. And again, how do you know that history is even real? How many Mandela effects have you gone through in your life? Because I remember a few damn clear Mandela effects, right? Where I'm swearing that things were said and done one way, but it was clearly a lie, right? But you live in a lie to begin with. And if you see the lie, you can start to see the truth through the lies. But if you tell a lie long enough, it becomes truth. So you think you're human based on history you're told. You think you have things inside of you based on things you're told and shown outside of you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look, for example, the way you dissect the body, that's science, but you got spirituality. Was science and spirituality ever supposed to be separate? If it was ever designed to be together and not separate, you wouldn't even have to dissect the body. You would already know what's in you without having to open a body. And when you got, let's say, for example, because, you know, I remember even once upon a time, dissecting a body was illegal. And I think this was around the age of like Michelangelo and whatnot. Michelangelo was obsessed with anatomy. He wanted to know what was inside the body. But are you supposed to really physically see what's inside a body? Are you ever going to really see your own brain? Are you ever going to see your own heart? Because in order for this to be exposed in this physical reality, you would have to actually be put down. You would have to be put out under sedation. But is there a way to see it beyond the physical realm? So like, let's say, for example, if you were to be put under anesthesia, instead of you losing consciousness, you still remain that awareness and you're able to see everything that's going on outside your body. The same way, if you sleep, do you go to sleep or do you fall asleep? Do you maintain awareness through the night while you're sleeping? This is what you know. You're leaving space. You're leaving outer space, right? Because you can't leave this space physically. You think you can leave this space physically. You can't leave this space physically. The same way you can't leave your body physically. So how would you know what you leave this space, outer space, You leave it the same way you leave your body. You have to go through a certain change in vibration and frequency, right? Because you notice that for you to come out your body, right, before you go into sleep paralysis, you go through those real intense vibration states, right? Why is that? You're changing in vibration the same way water, right, becomes vapor, but then it condenses and comes back down into liquid form. And if you change the temperature or temperament, then you become solid, right? That's how you get ice. But it's all done in degrees, temperature. So what's your temperament like? Everything here is attitude, right? You can vibrate high, vibrate lower. It's all temperament, temperature. That's why when you're mad, you say, I'm beyond fucking heated. You know what I'm saying? That's a cool guy because you're just chill, relaxed, right? It's all attitude. It's all temperament. Why are we using these words? In Spanish, we say fresco, hermano. You know? So yeah, I may have just ran on a tangent. But anyway, I didn't want to make this video too long. That's all I had for this video. And if you do anything religious, think about this. Religion is what you do repeatedly, right? And it could become a hellish kind of cycle, right? So suppose you got addictions and you can't get out of that addiction, you're doing that religiously. You hear what I'm saying? People go to church every Sunday. We follow memorials. Why? Because it's based on memory. You have to break out of it. How do you break out of that? You become a different person. So let's say, for example, if you want to break out of an addiction, do you notice how hypnotists can get you out of an addiction easier than you just basically trying to break a bad habit? Why? Because you convince yourself that you're a different person through that hypnotist. Because they bypass the conscious mind, and when they get into your subconscious mind, they can override those programs. What does that mean? You just became a different person. So you may not even like to do those things. That's why when you change your diet and you stick to that discipline long enough, you won't even crave the unhealthy food you were eating before, because you restructured the microbiome, the parasites that were in you left. This is a metaphysical thing too. You know what I'm saying? These aren't like physical parasites. These are metaphysical parasites. They can manifest in physical form, right? If they come out of you and you observe them in your poop, right? But they're all metaphysical. They're energies, you know? And they influence your mindset. So you have to understand, when you clean your house, you're not influenced by these negative entities. You can actually cleanse these things out. But you would have to eliminate fear, worries, anxieties, and all that can be managed, you know? And you can transmute these things. You can't really ever change or destroy energy. You can only transmute it. So here it's about what you do as a man, the masculine form. Women have the same ability too. You know, the fact that she has testosterone in her, right? And she can actually have that masculine energy intact. She could be a true woman here, and she won't even have to be told to submit to the man. She'll naturally be guided by that positive force, because that positive force is manifested in her life as her man. And she's guided by that man because she has her testosterone or her masculine energy intact. The same way for a man to be a man and be born again to the Father, he has to come to terms and face his shadows, which is negative feminine energy. He has to have dominion and control over his emotions. That's the virtue of man. And then you could be a man, and you're self-sustaining, because you're not going to fall for the proposals of the lies that are out here. You can actually learn to sustain yourself. I'll give you a light example of this. Like when you were told you had to get jabbed, right? Or you weren't going to have a job anymore, or you weren't going to be able to participate in certain activities that you were once participating in because you never got jabbed, right? You said, well, then fuck it. You can basically replace me, because I'm not going to fall for that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. What did you do after that? How do you know that wasn't a test to test your manhood, right? Okay, fine, I'll get jabbed so I can keep my job. Okay, I'll get jabbed so I don't get sick, right? But then you find out later on that even if you had the jab, you still get sick, right? That's it. Everything in life is testing your manhood, testing your gangster. Everything, including YouTubers telling you some bullshit. Oh, this is where society is going. And you believe that, you're creating it. But they're just basically acting like agent provocateurs. They're not really aware of what they do. They know not what they do. They're not aware. So they'll start to give you a bunch of conspiracy theories. They'll start to tell you that old people are, bad in society. You got these type of people talking like that. You got the people telling you about aliens. You got others telling you about this. You're gonna create it because now the moment you heard it, it's already in you. The same way if I eat a piece of food and it's full of poison and I eat it, it's already in me. You just consumed a corrupt level of information. It's in you now, right? How do you detox that out of your system now? You may have to go through the fucking pains of the symptoms the poisons give you. The same way the corrupt information may have caused some imbalances in you, you can process that out, and it can happen in a quantum leap. It's not like you're at the mercy of time, because you are time. You just have to be in the moment. You have to understand time is connected to your heart. You can raise your frequency and vibrate that shit out, and you'll feel like it just happened in no time. The same way if somebody's having a lot of fun, you notice how their time seems to speed up, while somebody may be having a bad time or bored out of their ass, their time is slower. It's not like we were under different times. We were under the same times. You just happen to perceive it differently. You go under a meditation and you can feel like you were there for 4 hours, only 20 minutes passed by. You change your perception of time because you are Father Time. That's why you tell people, I don't have time for you. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes. It's the same way here. If you're under a certain bad vibratory state and you become aware that you're not having a good time or you're poisoned somehow, in a quantum leap, it could change. What others may go through in 5 years, you'll experience it in just basically a week. But it's all based on you just changing the way you see things. Change your position, change your point in space. You have the ability to do that. You're going to have your master blueprint because you were born in a specific point in time and space, right? But you are all things. That's why they say if you want to be like somebody else, try to emulate that person and you can actually become like that person. You won't become that person, but you got to match that frequency too. You got to truly become that person, but you got to want to be that person too, right? You got things called psychokinesis. You got a lot of things that you have the ability. It's all science. It's all technology that you have the ability to do, right? So, but if you don't feel good in the moment doing it, it's not, because you got to understand in the beginning it may not feel good because you're changing a habit, and changing a habit, you'll go through withdrawal symptoms the same way you try to give off drugs, right? But you have to know if that's your heart's passion and desire. You know what I'm saying? Is that what moves you? You'll know. You'll know if you really just ponder and sit on it and get the ego out of the way. You can see yourself doing that in your future. The moment you can see yourself doing it, it's already happening. You just have to match that frequency, right? So match like the way you're told everything is happening in society, how, corruptions and things are happening. All these things shouldn't even faze you, because your job is to basically surpass the human way of thinking, overcome humanity, right? How can you fathom what's outside of humanity if you've never tried to overcome or surpass the human way of thinking? And you'll start to see that you generate your own thoughts, right? You're thinking for yourself. You're not having these thoughts influence you, because your thoughts are nothing but they're like actors that you're like a casting director. And you can just look at them and be like, next. But if you're not aware, you may just have somebody audition or cast a thought audition, and then you give that thought a part, and then now all of a sudden you merge with that experience because you became emotionally involved with it, and you just created a movie, a reality for yourself. You got to become aware of these things. Sometimes when you're having these random thoughts in your mind, it's just you being present in the moment. And I know there's a lot sometimes going on in life, because it happens to me too. But then there's times where I sometimes have a thought, and because you're in line with God, you cast it down. You may say things that you didn't even really want to say in the moment. Cast it down in the moment. Shut that shit down. Shut that shit down, right? And you transmute it. You change the energy. You change your perspective. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got for this video. Like if you like, subscribe if you're not, because I actually saw my algorithm. I don't even look at it, but I saw that there's people that watch my videos, but then they're not even subscribed. So subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this, and like, and that helps my algorithms, and we will talk soon.